I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHack's Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is how to improve your motivation as a man. Sorry, ladies, but this episode is really just for the fellas. But don't worry, I'll get to you next time. All right, guys, so there is actually a very simple way to quickly and significantly improve your motivation regardless of your particular goal. Are you ready? Here it is. All you need to do is stop masturbating. Simple, but not necessarily easy, so let's dive into this. Now, why is this advice particularly relevant for men and not for women? Don't women masturbate? Well, they certainly do. However, the sexual impulse is very different between men and women. Men have what I would call a sexual drive. This is something that has been baked into us from millions of years of evolution. And this drive is more or less consistently active at a high level, except for the few minutes immediately following orgasm. After a man ejaculates, his system is flooded with prolactin, which is directly associated with reduced desire for sex, impotence, and even infertility. In fact, men with abnormally high levels of prolactin do not even produce sperm. So we see that this hormone is like a circuit breaker for the sexual drive in men, and why men often feel the only respite from sexual desire in their lives immediately after climax. Women are different. For women, the sexual impulse is more like a mood. When they're in the mood, they want it. When they're not in the mood, they don't want it. But they don't seem to have this constant, unremitting desire for it like guys do. Also, when a woman orgasms, her system is flooded with oxytocin and serotonin, which are directly associated with feelings of well-being and closeness. On the other hand, men's oxytocin levels, as well as their dopamine levels, decrease after masturbation, which is probably one of the reasons why men often feel so guilty and icky after masturbating. If dopamine spikes are rewarding, dopamine drops are punishing, whereas women tend to feel relaxed and aglow. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this video to someone who might benefit from its message. It's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to grow the channel. And if you're thinking about going to grad school, then you need to check out my top-rated GRE self-study program at stellargre.com. You can use the coupon code PSYCH for 10% off all membership plans. My point here is that the sexual drive is really only present in men. And as I've said, this drive has emerged over the course of millions of years of evolution. On the other hand, the rule of law and the repression of civilization is only a few thousand years old max. Men can no longer just take a woman if he had the opportunity. That behavior is, shall we say, frowned upon in the modern age. However, men's sexual drive apparently hasn't gotten the memo. The upshot is that men have had to find ways to channel their sexual energies to more pro-social ends. If a man does not succeed in doing this, he will become increasingly frustrated or blocked. And over time, this will eventually lead to either some kind of self-defeating implosion in which men sort of surrender to despair, which we see in the modern age, or some kind of antisocial transgression, which we also see in the modern age. Not being able to successfully channel or sublimate his sexual drive leads to one or the other negative consequences in men. The compromise solution for millions of men is to masturbate. This reduces the frustration, making both of the two negative outcomes I described less likely. However, in reducing the frustration, masturbation also makes sublimation unnecessary. And men kind of need the power of the sublimated libido to accomplish great things. Libido, the sex drive, is like a powerful Mustang, full of vigor and strength. By itself, this potency is useless, even destructive. Nothing can really be done with a horse that's bucking and rearing all the time. Masturbation is kind of like spooking the horse so that it will tire itself out with running and therefore not cause you any problems for a while. On the other hand, sublimation is discipline and a harness. Submitting that Mustang to both, and you now have a terribly powerful engine on your hands. Think about it. Libido is actually the life force. Since sex creates life, that kind of makes sense. So if a man harnessed his life force in the service of his ends, what could he not accomplish? Look around you. The books on your shelf, the skyscrapers in your city, the athleticism on your screen, all of these are products of sublimation. Nothing great can be accomplished quickly. That is why nothing great can be accomplished without some constant, unremitting drive capable of breaking through resistance and rising to the occasion. Constant, unremitting drive, rising to the occasion? Now, where might a man be able to find that in himself? And how might that drive be squandered by his unwillingness to tolerate frustration? Now, for some guys, pornography and masturbation is an addiction. However, for most guys, it's more like a vice or a bad habit. And quitting just requires some effort and intentionality. And like stopping any other habit, if you can go a few months without indulging, the new behavior becomes significantly easier to maintain. And I'd argue that quitting masturbation is most important for the guys who likely use it the most, namely single men. Why is that? Well, if you are a single man, you don't really have a socially acceptable release for your sexual frustration. Masturbation will temporarily release you from that tension. However, as I said earlier, it also significantly reduces your desire for sex. So any motivation to actually go out and find a human sexual partner is significantly compromised. For straight men, finding a sexual partner is a risky endeavor. It generally requires an expenditure of resources, time, energy, money, as well as a certain willingness to tolerate rejection and disinterest. In this way, finding a sexual partner is a little like hunting in traditional societies. It's an uncertain and expensive endeavor. So why do it? Because you're hungry. If people didn't get hungry, no one would consider the risk and expense of hunting to be justified. To use a phrase, the juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze. However, in my experience, everyone becomes a hunter if they get hungry enough. And some men in our society could stand to get a little hungrier. The fact of the matter is that you won't feel sexually frustrated if you sublimate correctly. However, you need to feel at least somewhat sexually frustrated in order to sublimate. And once you do that, it's like you're powered by this miniature nuclear reactor. It's a potent and amazing feeling, and one that I hope all men can experience for themselves. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you've gotten this far, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to the channel. You might also consider becoming a channel member with perks like priority review of comments, as well as booking a paid consultation. As always, thank you for listening.